Do everyday tasks like getting your toddler dressed or leaving the park seem like monumental challenges that leave you exhausted and frustrated? Are you experiencing the same tantrums day after day? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the one thing that you can do that will help reduce 90% of those tantrums. And that one thing, it's called transitions. So what is a transition? A transition is the act of moving from one space to another or from one activity to another. And young children have certain points in their day when they're going to struggle with this sort of transition. The most common ones are getting dressed in the morning, getting ready and dressed to leave the house, leaving the park, coming home from preschool or daycare, being asked to come to the table to eat, and getting ready for the bedtime routine. On all of these occasions, your toddler or preschooler is going to be asked to get something done by a certain time, and more importantly, to stop what they are doing so you can move on with your day's schedule. And I will guarantee that nearly every parent watching will have had a situation in one of those scenarios, or all of them, when you've had to deal with a tantrum over the fact that your child did not want to do those things when you wanted them to. When managing transitions with preschoolers and toddlers, you need to know two fundamental things. They like to know what's coming up, and they don't like to be rushed. Therefore, there are rules for managing transitions that you have to take note of and you have to put into place. And I can guarantee that if you follow them, you will drastically reduce the number of tantrums that you are having to encounter when you are going through these recurring transitions in your day. So here are my top transition rules that you need to apply every time you're going through a transition. Number one, plan ahead. If you're going to be leaving the house, make sure that you've got everything ready that you need first. Have bags packed, make sure that coats and shoes are by the front door so you're not running around looking for them. Make sure you've got all your ducks in a row before you start bringing your child into the transition. So make sure you plan ahead. If you need to pack the night before, then do so. Just always plan ahead. Number two, give yourself extra time. I will guarantee that if you rush a toddler, they are more likely to dig their heels in. They pick up on your tension that you are wanting to get something done quickly. It makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel unsure. They can't interpret why you are in that state, and their reaction to it is more often than not to be difficult because they are feeling insecure. So give yourself time. Don't rush. If it means you have to get up a little bit earlier, if it means you have to start getting ready just that little bit earlier to leave the house, then do so. Don't leave it to the last minute when you need to leave the park. Make sure that you are giving them plenty of time to get the transition done. Number three, always give a timely warning. It's important that your toddler knows what's coming up. They like to know what the plan is. And number four is make sure you make eye contact. Don't yell instructions from another room. You have to make sure that they understand when you give that timely warning exactly what is expected of them. Now, number five is actually really important. I always say with transitions, you really need to be part of the transition. Don't overestimate what your child is able to do without you, especially when you want it done by a certain time, especially if they are engaged in an activity. So you need to be very present in a transition. Take them by the hand and help them through the process, because you'll only end up being frustrated because they didn't tidy up quick enough. They didn't come when you called. You need to be there and help them through it. Now, the next point is one that I'm often talking about, and it's offer to acceptable choices. Along with not liking to be rushed, children don't like to feel like they're being pushed into a corner. And very often when you're trying to get these important transitions managed and get through them, they can feel like they have no choice in the matter. So offer two acceptable choices. This means when they're getting dressed in the morning, you can offer them 2 t-shirts to wear. For pajamas at bedtime, it's 2 different types of pajamas. I always say 2 acceptable choices because any more they cannot make a decision. Give them some sort of choice. You can also use charts, timers, and games and songs to make transitions more fun. That's the whole thing. For you, a transition is a thing that must be done. Your toddler is not going to approach it in that way. Your toddler is wanting life to be fun, because for them it is this big, exciting thing that they do every day. For older children, if you give them a chart so they know they can tick it off, they love having a to-do list, it's really good for them. Timers are really great motivators for toddlers and for preschoolers, because you can put a timer on and say, let's see how quickly you can tidy up, or whatever task is that you want them to do, get dressed, etc. If you're going to go out in the car, tell them they can have their favourite song on in the car, let them choose so they look forward to that. There are so many things that you can do to make a transition fun. And you should always acknowledge your little one's feelings, because at times they're going to feel frustrated that they've got to stop doing what they're doing. They're going to be sad about leaving somewhere. And it's okay to say, I understand that you're frustrated, or I understand that you're having fun and you don't want to stop, but we need to do this, but then when we get home, we can do something else exciting. So you acknowledge their feelings and then give them something else to look forward to. And it's really important that you do that, because if you ignore their feelings, then they're more likely to have a tantrum because they're feeling misunderstood. And it's all the part of you being engaged in the transition. And my final tip is, please don't blame and shame. So often I hear parents say, why are you making me late? You need to hurry up. We are going to be late. We're going to miss this. Or you always spoil things by not finishing when I tell you to, by not coming off the swing when I tell you to. Those are all lost sentences on young children. They have no concept of being late. They have no concept of hurry. They have no concept of the fact that what they're doing is upsetting you or spoiling your day. They are not mature enough to understand this, and in the moment when they're doing an activity or they're doing something they want to do, they have no idea what you're talking about, apart from the fact that you are unhappy and that you are not pleased with them. And that's why they often then end up acting out, because they are confused and overwhelmed. They don't know what they've done. So avoid the blame and shame. Use encouraging words instead. And that's why it's always important to praise a successful transition. Always, when they get it right, say thank you so much for leaving the park in such a nice way, or thank you so much for helping us get out the house on time. It's really important that they get a positive feedback from positive behaviour. Managing these transitions will definitely help reduce the number of tantrums that you're dealing with, but it will not fix every single tantrum, and you need to accept that they will happen occasionally. If you would like more information on how to manage those full-blown tantrums, then take a look at the posts we have on the Teething to Tantrums website. We've got them for 2, 3 and 4-year-olds, and they're all worth a good read. Then we'll put a link in the description box below. You also might like to take a look at our Calm Connections course, because that also deals with transitions and gives you lots of different examples of the words that you can use during transitions so that you can help your toddler or preschooler manage those pinch points in the day even more successfully. And please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because we always love to hear from you. And I thank you for watching.